Yeehaw. Or is it a ha-yee type of day?
What does that even mean?
You don't know what ha-yee? There's like a whole, someone did like a TikTok where they gave like a presentation on it. I feel like yeehaw is like, yeah, and ha-yee is like, yeah. Like the opposite of yeehaw. Like yeehaw vibes are like, gonna round up that horse. But ha-yee is the horse rounds you up.
This is disappointing to me.
You're in Texas. You could have a true stake in
Yeah,
this game,
and
but I
here in
don't.
Texas, we don't say nonsense like ha-ye.
I'll have to find that and put it in the show notes. That's a good presentation. I don't think there was anything else that it would be related to. Google. Ha-yee. I don't know. Oh, there are just people in cowboy hats. That's not correct.
That tracks. That
those cowboy
makes
hat
sense.
ha-yees. Yeah. I just like the yeehaw turns into the ha-yee. It's like just how fast the night changes. Yeah.
I feel like how my parents must feel
Listening to the
like all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
I
were
feel
like,
that.
what is that even? I don't know where my dad learned the word riz, but he learned the
I
word
don't know what that
riz.
word is.
Oh,
What
I
is
don't know how to.
Riz?
It's like
Urban Dictionary. I've got it pulled up.
it's like
Ha-yee
your
to
ability to
Riz.
pull.
Oh. A guy who is cool. No, is that like a name? Or is this
No,
a
you
guy who
have
is cool
riz.
but liked by everybody? The dude's dude. Sexiest man alive. Talented
That's
in
what.
every way. Though he doesn't realize it. I think that's like for the name. Like one of
Okay,
those like.
fascinating because I didn't actually know this. It's a shortened form of charisma.
Oh.
I did not know that's where that came from. I just heard riz. But yeah,
Oh.
it's like your charm,
Huh.
your ability,
Didn't
your
know we'd
pull.
need Didn't know we'd need to abbreviate that word.
Look,
Riz.
someone who has a game.
Huh.
Riz. I think
Yeah, I
Riz
did
is
not
funny.
know.
I don't use it, but I love
Mm-hmm.
people putting it into different things.
Yeah.
Like the Riz Master. However, I don't know how my 63-year-old white father learned the word Riz. I don't know who taught it to him, but I would like to have a word because we were talking about Taylor Swift as one does.
Uh-huh.
And I was trying to get him to listen to Taylor Swift, and he was like, "So if I listen to Taylor Swift, will that like up my Riz?" And I was like, "What? What do
Does
you
he have
mean?"
Does he have
I was like,
Facebook?
"Not anymore."
Oh, because I feel like my mom, she gets like reels suggested on Facebook, and so she finds the weirdest things, and like she'll know some pop culture things,
My dad's
and
not
it's
even
because
on
of
social
yeah,
media.
that's
So I don't know where and he
fascinating.
won't tell me. I was like, "Who taught you this?" And he was like, "I'm on the internet." And I was like, "What do you?" Anyway, but I was like, "You don't have Riz." And he was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm the Wizard of Oz." And I was like, oh,
I mean, that's a pretty Riz thing to say. I
pain.
don't know if I'm using that correctly in a sentence.
It's not.
Cool. So, yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I don't know what Riz. It sounds like lizard. Like the
No,
Rizzard.
he claimed to be the Wizard of Oz because he's got
Huh.
Riz.
Got Riz is the new got milk.
I don't think that it is. Anyway,
It's working its way
you
up
know
there.
who does have Riz?
Oh my god.
Why do I not know his name? What's his name?
Yeah, I had to it's Galen.
Galen.
Bashan, and then
Yes.
it's the Black Daniel. Yeah, I literally have it pulled up on Goodreads in my next tab because I was like, Hannah, what are their names? And I did not know. And I finished it yesterday. But it was a phenomenal book.
It was.
It was so good.
It was.
Indigo.
We might be on the same the same page in terms of how much we remember because I read it like last month or something.
I think I remember a fair. I mean, I took
Okay, good.
the notes that I took are chaotic. We can work our way through them. But
I remember the important things.
Yeah. Well,
like
because
the
there was
fact that I would lay down my life for Hester.
Well, because it's like one of those books where a lot happens, but not a lot happens. Like
Yeah.
we got to like 50%, and I was like, oh my god, what more is left of this book? But it didn't drag, and it didn't like it was paced very well for that to have happened to me, for me to be like, what can we possibly need? And then we did need it. because it
And
was
then we did.
fantabulous.
And we did. Welcome to Romance Your TBR.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Caroline.
And I'm Hannah.
And we're doing another old school lesson.
And thank God.
Hop off the bus. Sharpen your pencils. Because today, we're learning from the one and only Beverly Jenkins.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Indigo, to be specific.
Mm.
What a good book.
It was so good. And I like the duality of Beverly Jenkins. I mean, either her books are like bonkers, like absolute, like the amount of kidnapping to not kidnapping ratio in her books is crazy. But like it was just so soft. I mean, stuff like I said, stuff still happened, but it was on her other end. Like I don't think on like some of the chaos I've read, because I read her Old West series before this just to read it. And especially the first 2 books of those series. Well, everyone's getting shot. A lot is happening.
There are like bandits on the loose.
And I mean the kidnapping.
There's a lot of kidnapping in that.
I mean, there's kidnapping in this one, and I like the first note.
Wait, who gets kidnapped in this one? There's gonna be spoilers in case you didn't know. We're talking about Indigo in depth.
Absolute spoilers.
Who gets kidnapped?
Hester. She gets kidnapped by Janine.
Oh,
and then Janine.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So like,
I forgot that was the climax. I was just so distracted by the just very rich man who wants to buy her things and then just like kind of forces her into marriage
in the hottest way.
Respected so much.
I know.
He was like, I actually refuse to listen to you say no anymore, so we're just gonna skip to the end.
I'm just gonna stand up in church and say that we're getting married because was his name like Porter or something?
I don't know.
I don't know. Slut shaming you because he's being cuckolded. And so I'm just going to say that we're getting married and you're going to say yes. And she was like, yeah. And I supported it.
Sometimes these historical romance heroes just have to take things into their own hands. They do.
And
the heroines put up too much of a fight for their own good.
The one qualm I had about this book is like, how did she resist that much? And like,
she's stronger than we are.
Yeah, and it wasn't really a qualm. It was just like, yeah, wow, she is so strong. Because I would not have denied any of these gifts. I would have wanted them all.
I would have folded. I mean, she did make a good point at the point where he delivered like crates and crates of food, and she was like, I literally can't even eat it. Like, it's gonna go bad.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of this? So that was a valid point that I think. She raised.
I just like he was shopping, so like because they had met, and then because he not even really met. I mean, he was stabbed, I believe, or was he shot?
I think he was shot. He was injured. Yeah. I don't know.
I think it was.
It's been a hot minute since I read this.
So
I feel like he was shot. That makes the most sense.
He was shot. I don't know why I would say he was stabbed. I don't know what he would have been stabbed with.
A knife? A sword?
Well, it seems like for what was happening, a knife and a sword would have been a little more random than a gun. Okay. So the Black Daniel is like a very well-known member of the Underground Railroad.
Was he shot or was he just beaten up?
He was.
I'm so sorry, listeners.
He was beaten. He was just beaten up because it was the he rolled into town with the mother and son and husband, and the slave catchers were they came upon them. They believed because he was dressed as like an old woman, and they were supposed to be like his servants, and they kind of got away with it. But then the slave catchers were going to rape the mother, so then Galen like stood up, took off the dress or whatever, and was like, it's me, hi, it's me, I'm the vigilante, it's me, and then got beat up like crazy.
There is a I think it's a Bollywood movie that I watched because Sand recommended it to me. Because I like Bollywood movies, and she was like, if you haven't seen this, it's like actually balls to the wall bonkers. And I was like, perfect. And it was. And I cannot for the life of me remember the name of this movie right now. I
Show
will find
notes.
it. However, it's like a spy
Mhm.
type situation. I don't remember the plot. I remember it was unhinged though, and in the opening like sequence, the Queen of England, who is played by some random person, is on a train, and there's like a crown, I think, or like jewels or something that is
Mhm.
clear. They're clearly about to be stolen, and someone comes in wearing a horrifying costume of her that is like it almost looks like her, but not like something's wrong,
Yeah.
and steals it. And then he like it's one of those situations where like it
Oh,
doesn't look like he's
yeah.
wearing a mask, but then he takes a mask off and
With
it's
the
like
little
a
Scooby-Doo.
gorgeous man wearing this like insane Queen Elizabeth looking
Huh.
costume, and he like stands on top of the moving train to take it off. And it's actually one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. And that is all I can think of when you said like he stands up dressed as an old woman and like rips the costume off. I'm sure it's on YouTube. I'm sure we can link it.
We will. Wow. Yeah. Now I'm going to Alicia Silverstone in the live action Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, where she is was she actually Jonathan Jacobo? She like has like the face mask and then she like rips Alicia Silverstone's face off and it's like this old man who was in jail for many years and in a bird
Sure.
costume, pterodactyl. Yeah.
Well,
Love
Galen
that for us.
is like a hot version of this.
Very hot. And yeah. Um I have another point, but we'll go back to this one. So he gets beat up. They bring him to Hester's place. She nurses him back to health. He is not receptive to being cared for. He's kind of a shitty patient. He's like trying her patience. But then once he's feeling a little bit better, they start to have nice conversations. And that's kind of like where they meet for the first time. And then he has to go because one of the Levesque brothers or cousins or whatever comes because they're like working together and they go back to New Orleans, I think. Because that's why he has the French accent. But I don't
Yeah.
know if
Well, the
that's where they
Levesques are
went.
usually
Yeah.
in New Orleans
Mhm.
from the various Levesque
Mhm.
storylines that I have read.
Um and so
Side
that's kind
note,
of like
I
the
would like to
first.
marry into the House of Levesque,
Yes.
just for the record.
Yes.
It's just a house full of hot men.
I have to read that series. Well, cuz I read To Catch a Raven, which has one of the I don't know if she is in the family or if she just knows the family, but like she um the heroine of To Catch a Raven, it reminded me a lot of Indigo, because that man, he was a tailor, he's very hot. um he like pampered her so hardcore because she'd like worked her entire life, and so he like didn't let her do anything, and it just baths and gifts, and it was lovely. And the villain also got transported. She was sent to Australia,
That
but
happens to many, well,
uh-huh.
maybe not many, but several Beverly Jenkins villains that I have
Which
read.
is which is lovely because like even with, I believe his name was Porter, when he was like being a dickhole and like saying that he wasn't being cuckolded or whatever, and I just had like the most sense of inner peace because I knew that like any tangential terrible person's gonna get their comeuppance. Like I just loved it. So like I couldn't be mad because I was like, ha, you're being
All
cuckolded
terrible
and
people will be
you're
dealt
going to
with.
get shot in the arm. Which was also okay, I don't like Janine, but iconic of her to just like when the narrator was like, she calmly shot him in the arm. I was like, yeah, I do support you for that. I did not see her. I knew she was gonna like be relevant to the end climax because I just had seen it, I think maybe before in like a Beverly Jenkins, maybe like Night Song or something. Um, but I didn't foresee the traitor because there was a traitor
Oh yeah, I
in
do think
the.
Night Song has a very similar.
Yeah, yeah, because there's like this
The
one.
like side woman who you don't
Hmm.
think is gonna be like she's annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I did not feel bad about it.
There's one in Tempest also has a
Yeah,
similar
yeah, because the
where the somebody ends up being way more relevant to the third
hmm
act than you expect her to be.
that was an
That one
amazing
was
book.
rough to read. Um
Uh-huh.
the her
Yep,
involvement, I mean, and her
yep.
kid. That book was a banger.
It was a great book. It was
The book was not tough to read.
no. If you're looking for a follow up to either of those, Indigo to Tempest, Tempest to Indigo, great follow ups to each other. Because I had just read Tempest, my favorite definitely in that series. And like I didn't know if the One-Eyed was in that one because like obviously like I knew you talked about it and like I heard his name. I'm like I didn't know if he lasted a few books or if it was just
Oh
that one,
no.
and it sure was that one.
I love
And I
the
was like,
one-eyed bobcat.
because that guy like strangled the woman and then he got eaten, right?
Yeah, and then the bobcat
Yeah,
died. What a
yeah.
comeuppance for all.
It was great because the bobcat mauled a kid. I was like,
Yeah.
well, that was rude of it. I like to
Yeah.
support animals, but not that one.
And Beverly was
So
like, I take care of all my villains.
yeah,
Even
and
the bobcats.
oh, what a great ride that one was. So yeah, so I, just having read like a few Beverly Jenkins like in a row and having read her before, I knew that the Janine wasn't going to be like
Ah, yes.
good.
The Janine.
The Janine. But you still knew there was like the traitor, and I had no clue what that was going to be, and I thought it was like a really well thought out, not necessarily mystery, but just like I guess mystery twist.
Reveal?
Yeah,
Oh.
because it wasn't, again, like you felt bad for the traitor, and then like how everything like shaped up, you're like, oh my god. It just was more sad than anything. I was expected to be like angry, but I was like, oh, sad. Because her sons had been or her children had been separated from her. I don't know her name. Sorry to that woman. But she was like one of the nice older ladies in the book.
Yeah,
I have to be honest.
I forgot so much of the external plot.
I like know the plot. I just don't know the names, like because I could barely remember Hester and Galen. But she was like friends with the guy who was pining after Hester's aunt. It was a whole thing.
Yeah, it's a whole little small town situation.
Yeah, so honestly, it worked better to surprise me because I was like, wow, one, didn't remember who this lady is. Two, sad because she had been separated from her 3 children, I believe, and hadn't heard of them until the one son came back with the main villain, Shu, who is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that her son is half siblings with Shu. So then it was a whole just really sad and twisted how her son was then in league with Shu. So she was being kind of blackmailed into doing their bidding and like selling out different people on the run within that community, because then she was trying to get information about her children, but then she found out that her children had been killed besides this Lem, I think his name was. And it was quite fascinating how it like unfolded, because you like found out how like this Lem person knew all of this information. It's because he was like around in certain times, and I thought it was really well done. Just with you when you also had the kidnapping element. Because I mean, literally my first note of this book was kidnapping is the best climax, which could be a lesson. I was like writing down potential lessons throughout, and that one I wrote before I even read the book because I knew there'd be kidnapping. Like I knew there would be, because I was literally like every one in that Old West series I was like, oh okay, she gets shot, kidnapped. Oh okay, she gets shot, kidnapped. I was like, oh my god.
Look, let's not pretend that Beverly Jenkins was doing anything. I mean, she was doing a lot of things different, but specific to the kidnapping, I mean, she was right in line with everybody else, all the historical romance. They're all kidnapping.
I mean,
so much.
Prior to reading those 3 in a row, I would say Lisa Kleypas was my
That's true. There's almost always
was my top kidnapping author, but I think Miss Bev has topped even the number of Lisa Kleypas kidnappings. Which segues into my next lesson that I thought, which was there's nothing Miss Bev does better than revenge.
Oh my god.
Because it works.
No, I got it.
And kidnapping, in parentheses.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
I mean, she does.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go backwards, however, to when he was still injured and she was nursing him back to health. She makes him coffee.
Mm-hmm.
and she sweetens it with maple syrup.
Yeah. Yeah, she
And
does.
later,
Yeah, he does.
that is referenced because he continues to drink his coffee with maple syrup, and that becomes a like. They're like the servants are like, oh, ho, ho, you're so and so. Well, you know the master. He drinks his coffee with
Uh-huh.
maple syrup, and she's like, okay. I
If
just
there's
bring
a
that up because
yeah.
I tried it, and
Oh. Oh,
now
yes, you
I don't
did.
even like sweet coffee really, but
Uh-huh.
okay, I don't do it every time because that's a lot of sugar. But
Uh-huh.
I do use it when I make like iced or like any kind of like
Mm.
latte type drink.
Mhm.
I will froth the milk with a little maple syrup. Very tasty. That's
Oh.
also what I sweeten my matcha lattes with, but
Huh.
it's good in coffee. But also just like as a sweetener in coffee, just a little bit of maple syrup. Delicious.
Wow. I remember you talking
So,
about that, but again, like we talked through various episodes about a lot of
sure.
Bev Jenkins books, so I was like mixing up
That's this
things and
one.
stuff.
And it's very
Um
tasty. So,
I'm just speaking on like reading that, like the pining was through the roof. That man was down so bad for her.
that's true he
When
was.
he was like shopping for her throughout like the months that they were separated, he was just like consistently just like buying her things so that the house was fully stocked when she oh my god. Yeah. Also the vanilla, if we're on the maple syrup stuff, she used like vanilla extract, so then he was throw back to Elizabeth, or I throw forward. I don't know. To Elizabeth Everett's A Perfect Equation, where Letty smells like vanilla and cake. And then Gray is like, wow, I want cake. This one took it up like 10 million notches because he like put like vanilla like extract all over her body and was licking it off. And I also just love the scent of vanilla, so like I related. hmm So that was a
I
fun time for me.
think of this one as like a historical billionaire romance. There
Yeah.
are like a lot of you could argue a lot of historical romance are also
Yeah.
billionaire romances because like dukes, they're
Mhm.
rich, but it's
Mhm.
different. Like for me, it has to be like this has the vibes of a billionaire romance where he like buys
Yeah.
her a ton of stuff and she's like, stop buying me things. And he's
Mhm.
like, no, also you're gonna marry me and I'm
Mhm.
gonna buy you even more things.
Mhm. I agree.
It's the what is that man's name? Harry Rutledge. Another one
Oh,
that
Harry.
like that's another historical billionaire romance to
Mhm.
me.
Gift
He's just a
giving.
very rich
Ugh.
man who wants to buy you stuff.
I mean, honestly, gift giving is the sexiest love language to me because I'm a pretty good gift giver. And so like I would love someone who could give a better gift than I could, you know?
That's fair. I'm bad
Yeah.
at gift giving.
Mm.
So that's not my vibe. However, I love receiving presents.
I mean, me too.
I just love gift. Like I can't say it's my love
Yeah.
language because I'm not good at it, but I
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
love
I
the idea of
suppose
a man spending a lot of money so that I
is a
don't have
love
to.
language what you exhibit or is a love language what you
It's
want?
both.
Okay. Yeah, I feel
It's how you
like
show and receive love. Also, love languages are bullshit.
I know, but also valid in this case because truly he was speaking French, but he was also speaking Amex. um I will say I know you said that maybe you don't recommend fully the audiobook. I see definitely like what was like I loved the voices she did for the characters, but I didn't like the like just body text that she was reading. It seemed like very like I don't know, fast or stilted or something, but I loved the voices for the characters, like the dialogue. So I think it was like a twofold, you know, like I didn't love the audiobook, but I definitely didn't mind it by the end. I would not have read his narration in a French accent in my brain if I would have been like reading physically, and I appreciate it because honestly it gave me a lot of love for the French accent by the end of that book. When he's calling her baby girl, my god. I mean, I also noted by reading the Old West series that when Miss Bev uses baby, she does it so well because it's like very rare. She doesn't like it's a mystery when it'll appear, but when it does, it's perfectly placed and amazing. And
She
this one
also
took
is
it a step.
really,
Yeah.
really good at like specific nicknames.
Uh-huh. Oh my
I
god,
don't
yeah.
was there one in this one?
It
I
was
mean,
Indigo.
Indigo.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Um, hello.
Yeah.
But
Oh
like
no,
I'm
no, it
trying
was
to think
petite. Petite. Well, it was Indigo, but he kept calling her Petite.
Really? Because
Mm-hmm. It was so
Captured
good.
is also petite.
Really?
Yeah. He calls her
Intriguing.
petite because she's really short. So he calls her petite in that.
Oh.
And then I think I'm torn. Like Tempest and Breathless are both up there for me in the Old West series. So like I kind of go back and forth, which
Is
I prefer.
Breathless the second one?
Yeah, Breathless though,
Okay.
he calls her Duchess and has
Mm-hmm.
since she was little. So I love that. And then in
Mm-hmm.
Forbidden, I think he calls her Little Queen because she's descended from African queens,
Mm-hmm.
which that's a nickname that's stuck in my brain. Little Queen, iconic.
That's
I don't
good.
remember I don't remember if Regan has one. I just know
Um,
a lot of
did I
Beverly
take
Jenkins,
notes?
the heroes have like really specific, like not just baby, but like specific pet names for the heroines, and I eat it up.
Yes. I don't know if Regan had one. I don't know. I mean, I love her
I
so
mean, he called
much.
her Mrs. Lee,
Yeah.
which is always fun.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun book. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Evaluate my health, Daddy.
Oh my
Um,
god.
yeah, that was a note I took. No shame. Yeah, I just he definitely kept calling her petite in this one, which was so cute. And then with the baby girl the two times, oh god. And then when they just like made mud pies, which sounds like a euphemism, but it's not. They
But
just
it's not
went and played in the mud, which was adorable.
iconic.
Like it just was such a good balance of just like the softest things happening, but a compelling plot that pulled it forward
And then
so
also like
effortlessly.
side like here
Side
we're
there
going to
was
swap out to save like I'm going to pretend to
uh-huh.
be this other person to break someone out of prison to like help them escape like uh
Well, that's like so much happened.
I also love this is a bit like it's historical, so of course,
Mhm.
but I do love the vibes of like lock me in but leave me the gun
Yeah.
to the sheriff, and he's like, "All right, bet."
That sheriff, he was a real one. He knew what
He-
was up. He was
yeah,
like, "Can you just like stay? Like I have to go to this recital. My
he's like, "I'm gonna
wife
get in a
like."
lot of trouble if I lose you all." So
Oh, and she's just like, "Yeah, sure. I promise to be here." Um mm, it, I'm like looking at my notes. I did love the repetition of your virgin body or her virgin body. Um yeah, that one was fun to read. Just
okay,
all like he was just like your virgin body, your virgin. I'm gonna coax your virgin body. That was very fun. Um,
all right.
oh my god. Wait, what was this from? Oh yeah, okay. So I was like the way I giggled when the first dude vanished. When yeah, that didn't explain anything.
No.
When Janine kidnapped Hester, took her with the porter guy. He's like, "Oh man, I'm a cuckold." Cuckold, I say cuckold, but it's cuckold. And then Janine like drives her to wherever, and then Shu pops up and like all the villains, and then one by one the men just start disappearing. And I was like Nicole Kidman, that meme after she divorced Tom Cruise, just like absolutely living her best life in that parking lot. I was so happy because I knew what was coming. And it was great. Um yeah, that was a fun time. Like I just loved like every stage of this book because there were like so many different like distinct like stages of it.
Mhm.
But they were all so fun. And just like how she can go from extreme chaos to extreme peace is astounding.
Well, and it's
Like,
Beverly Jenkins, so on top of
yeah.
that, you're getting like a really quite intense amount of history.
Uh-huh. But
Where
history is
sometimes it'll just be
yeah.
like paragraphs where
Uh-huh.
she's like, "Here's a little mini history lesson," and you're like, "Wow, vibes." Didn't
Exactly.
know any of this.
No. It was just I mean, I bowed down to the pacing and just the
Like, I don't think I knew
delivery.
about. I feel like I must have known about slave stealers, but I certainly didn't know in
Mhm.
any detail.
Well, no, when it put it in such good perspective of like if your papers were stolen, even though she
Yeah.
had like the papers at the courthouse or wherever, um it was still like an intensely like vulnerable place to be in. And
Mhm.
when the one woman and he was like, "No, don't leave me. I love you." And she's like, "You literally
Mm.
sold our sons," because she had her daughters with her, I believe.
Mhm.
And he's like, "It was business." And then like she could literally, because she was in Michigan, I think that's where it was, Michigan. She was able to just like leave him, which I just found so, because like she was free upon entering the state.
Right.
Um, I thought that was a really powerful scene.
There are a lot of
Um,
similar, like,
mhm,
she uses that a lot, like, Captured is another where, like,
mhm,
there's, like, a white guy, like, I guess he's technically her owner, although she works for his sister,
yeah,
who, like, it's implied that he's, like, he thinks he's in love with her and, like, defends her and stuff, and the guy is like, "Then why haven't you freed her? Like, if
yeah,
you love her so," and also sold her children.
yeah,
So she's like, "There's like, you've been nice in the sense
mhm,
that, like, you haven't been awful to me, but you sure do own me and sold my children." Like, there
mhm.
was no coming back from that.
No, exactly. And honestly, to backtrack to the like beginning with Hester's parents and how her father literally like offered to go into slavery to be with her
Yeah.
mother. That was intense. Like what a prologue to start with.
Well, that and
Um
then you get the Union
mhm.
soldiers killing
Yeah.
her uncle, was it? Or
Yeah.
grandfather or something like that?
Yep.
For
It was
really for no reason, just
yeah,
because
no.
they could, essentially.
Ugh.
Which I thought was interesting that it was
Uh-huh.
she made a point of saying it was Union
Yeah.
soldiers, and you still have to go hide,
Mhm.
because doesn't matter.
Yeah. And then the reunion with her mother at the
Ugh.
end with the like his best gift was like finding her mother. That took me out. I wasn't prepared. And then how he was like, "I want your birthday to be on Christmas because I can just give you double the amount of gifts." And then it actually was on Christmas. Ugh. I mean, just like the love between them. I mean, this is like the perfect insta love, insta lust. I don't know. I mean, on his end. I mean, she technically had a
Right.
fiance. Which when I found that out, I was like, boo. But then it worked itself out when he married Janine. I was like, ha 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 ha. David Lindhagen has cuckolded me. Have you seen
What?
Crazy Stupid Love?
No.
Oh, David Lindhagen. He's the garden variety cuckolder.
Oh,
Yeah, Steve Carell gets
okay.
cuckolded by Kevin Bacon.
Okay.
Um, so I was like really happy with how that played out because I had what was it? I don't even know. There was a book that I had just read that when also it was revealed that one of them had a fiance. I was like, no, God, please, no. Um, but also, oh yeah, was it Tempest? Because he was engaged to someone, right? No, it
No,
wasn't Tempest. Was it the middle one?
no, it was forbidden. He's
Was
engaged
that
for
the
most of that book to the white
Oh
girl.
yeah, duh. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. At the
I was
point where
like,
I was
well,
like,
Tempest
okay.
is a mail order bride, so there's
I know. I
no
was like, wait,
way.
that he's engaged to her. Um
And Breathless
yeah,
also
by the
wasn't
point
nice
where it
person.
was like made no sense for that dude in Forbidden to still be engaged, it broke off, so I was like, fine. Um but like I was on the verge of being like, why is he still a
Say what you
fiancé?
will, but Ryan Fontaine, especially Ryan in the later books, can
Mhm.
get it.
I liked him a lot more in the later books. I wasn't like the biggest fan of book 1. It just had like tropes that I just wasn't. I mean, it was still good. It was still a fun
I read
time.
that book a very long time ago, so I don't
Mhm.
remember a ton of it, but I think regularly about the scene where she's like kind of seeing that other guy and he comes
Yeah.
in and leans on the back of her chair.
Yeah.
And it's like uncomfortable for everyone because that's a super possessive gesture, but it's so like deceptively casual to just like put your
Mhm.
hands on the back of her chair and kind of lean over her. And she goes off on him about it. And I think about it constantly because that man, she is sitting here with another guy. You are engaged to someone else. And he's like, nope, I am a male with one brain cell. And it says Edie. I must mark territory
Mhm.
now. Ugh, Ryan.
Mm.
But also, I specifically love him in the later books, in the,
Mhm.
like, dad mode of it all.
Mhm. Mm. I also found it fascinating. I didn't expect it to go to her nieces, the
Mm.
later books in the series, because I like hadn't read any summaries or anything. So I found that so like I just wasn't. I was like trying to pick
Mhm.
out people in the town who would be like the next books, and I didn't even have it on my radar that it would be the two
Yeah.
nieces.
I need to, like,
Um.
go back and look at, I mean, other people have made it, so I can just look up somebody
Mhm.
else's, but, like, the family tree, because, like,
Yeah.
all of her books are, I think all of them anyway, are
Mhm.
interconnected, where, like, she's even said her contemporary romances, like the romantic suspense,
Oh,
are,
really?
she thinks of them as descendants of her historical
Oh, yeah, I've
characters.
heard that. Yeah.
So, because you get, like, Rhine is related to, I think, the Levesque side of the family, or, like, his sister marries a Levesque, like, there's
Yeah.
a, so it, like, branches off and you can read either
Mhm.
side, and
If
then, like,
we if we
Captured is, like, the ancestor, it's a lot.
If we find one of them, we'll link them in the show notes.
Yeah,
That
I
would be
know
very
people have
useful.
done it,
Mhm.
but I need to, like, read all the books so that then I can have
Yeah.
mentally mapped out, like, who, because every time they're like, "Oh, a Levesque," I'm like, "Another one." Where are you in this
Well,
family tree?
that's like in the To Catch a Raven, like 'cause that's like her most recent one.
Yeah.
Um, gosh, that's a really good one. I've said it before in this episode. Um,
Well, and,
but
like,
yeah.
I'm reading Wild Rain, I wanna say, which is the
Mhm.
second book in the, I think it's the one right before To Catch a Raven,
Mhm.
in the Women Who Dare, and the one before it, Rebel, he's a Levesque brother.
Yeah.
Uh, who so he's a Levesque brother, so he's one of the brothers of the hero from Through the Storm, and Indigo, Hester and Galen from Indigo show up in Through the
Really?
Storm. Yeah, they make a brief appearance because they're, oh, I think the hero from Through the Storm is the friend who shows up in this book.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. The Levesque one.
Yeah.
Okay, that
And so
makes.
he's like the oldest Levesque brother, and there's a bunch of other Levesque
Mhm.
brothers. So one of the Levesque brothers is the hero in Rebel, and then Wild Rain is Spring Lee, Colt's sister from Tempest.
Yes.
So she's
Yes.
the heroine in this book,
Oh my gosh.
and then is To Catch a Raven. So they're
Wow.
all the, what is the, what did you kept saying last episode, the
The
webs we weave,
the tangled web we weave or
the
something like that.
tangled web, yeah, it's all
The webs we
it's
weave.
all coming together.
Yeah, because I'm looking at To Catch a
That was my
Raven.
Gronk impression. Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
I valued that.
Thank you.
Hmm.
One of the
And
most underrated movies of all time. Sorry, The Emperor's New Groove. Just throwing that out there.
that's a. I just like and watching that show live on television was a time.
The show?
Emperor's New Groove.
The Emperor's New Groove is a movie.
I thought there was a show too.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, I think there
Film
was.
series. Yeah, it was like after, before or something. David
Well, I don't
Spwir's
really care about
Cusco.
that.
Oh my gosh.
But
Um,
the movie, one of the most underrated movies of all time.
it's wonderful. I mean, just turn him into a llama. Why don't you?
The sheer quotability of it all.
Pull the lever, Crunk.
Anyway, To Catch a Raven.
Yeah. So the heroine of To Catch a Raven is Raven Moreau. So I believe she's just friends with the Levesques, and they help deal with the villain, because the villain in that one like wronged the Levesques, like one of the, what, maybe it was like one of the wives of one of the Levesques. And so it's like retribution for that. But then it's also retribution from Raven and Braxton. So it's just revenge, 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 shipping you off to Australia with like crazy bowels, because I think they like fed her poison. It was great. It was lovely. And it's like stealing the Declaration of Independence. So yeah, fantastic. Um, and I need to go back and reread or not reread, just read for the first time the first two books in those series, because I had just requested arc of that one. I didn't really like think anything of it. Yeah. I just valued this book so much. There were like so many lines. There were like so many lines that I had to like pause and rewind and slow down my audiobook so I could like quote them. I just also thought just the insults that were thrown at Janine. Momentarily, I'm a fan of misogyny because, and it was Foster, not Porter, or whatever I was saying. I'm looking at my note. Foster.
Oh, okay.
So sorry.
I sure didn't recognize the name Porter. This makes more sense.
Yeah, okay, so it's Foster. I loved this quote. I don't care if you cuckold Foster with every man in the state, but lay your whorish tongue on Hester and I will destroy you. Whorish tongue is a great insult. And then Hester was like, yeah, she's an empty-headed little slut. And I was like, honestly,
oh my god,
that's my better than revenge. I think that's when I made the note of there's nothing Miss Bev does better than revenge. Yeah. I appreciate it because I was real angry at Janine. And then she also had a revenge dress that she like put on. It wasn't like to make him jealous, it was to like tell other people off, but I do love the micro trope of the revenge dress.
I just wrote another book with a fantastic revenge dress.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Underrated. So good.
Beast of Bezek.
Ooh,
that man.
Yeah, that was a good book.
Go to town on her in that revenge dress.
Mm-hmm.
He was
that the one with an opera scene, or is it the purple one?
That it does have an opera scene, yes. This was not the opera scene, although he also really likes her dress in that scene. That man was so horny. And he was like, get in my office right now, and we're going to deal with this.
It was a really good book. That entire series, I think, I just really enjoyed. Go Emily Howard. She's amazing. Other quotes. Thou'st ravished my heart. Hot. Oh. If I waited for you to agree, the child you may be carrying would be married and have a child of its own. That was hilarious because she was taking so long to agree. that had me giggling.
Was that before she would marry him?
Yeah, so it was after they had obviously had sex for the first time, and he's like, you could be carrying my child, and she's like, oh my gosh. And then he was like, if you're taking longer to accept this marriage proposal, that child will be grown up and have a child of its own.
And then he said, fuck it.
He really
I'm going to church today.
Oh, God, this book. Oh, and then when he said, I think I hate it when you cry, it killed me. Oh, and also, we have a problem here, Petite. It's very certain I'm in love with you. And that was only at 58%. So we still had lots more percents to go. And she gives me that line. Like, I wasn't going to do mental math that quick. Lots more percents is mathematical. It's correct. Can't be disproven. Yeah. There was a literal lesson that was noted in the book, and that was that there are erotic pleasures found in uninhibited passion. What else?
Great points being made.
Being a shameless woman can be very enjoyable.
Sure. Sometimes you have to anonymously buy the woman that you're in love with's land.
Yes, that was also great. That poor the associate of him was trying to sell her the land, and she was like, "This is too much money." He's like very confused, and he was like, "Oh."
She was like, "Actually, lower the offer," and he was like,
and he's like,
"What?"
My employer's not going to be very happy about that, but okay. And then just like he was consistently perplexed. He
really was perplexed by didn't he like he was like apologetic delivering her things because he was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, but here is another gift, please take it, I can't take it back.
Yep. And then yeah, different note, I spoke like it was related, but it's not. I had just read something in between that when you talked about a little bit before when she like switched out to go into jail with the other woman.
What
After
a
that,
scheme, by the way.
what a scheme. I was in the veterinarian parking lot because my dog was at the vet, and I was just like sitting in my car, just like, whoa, yeah.
You know, I
Um,
remember where I was also. I
ooh,
was taking a walk, and I remember, like, the exact like, there was something
mm-hmm.
about that scene where I was like, "Oh, the
Well,
drama,
it it was just like the the heist of it all.
the heist of it all."
Uh-huh.
They
And
got
then
the
when she
plan
pulled
it's
out
like
the
a group
gun.
of bad bitch women. You can
Mhm.
see the, like, slow-mo, like,
Mhm.
action sequence of them walking in versus walking out. The
Yeah.
Ocean's 11, 8 of it all. I
Yeah.
don't know. I've never seen
8.
any of those movies.
Oh,
8.
oh, I love them so much. Um, my mom, and so then that led to the scene afterwards where she was, like, traumatized from that experience because,
Mhm.
if she wouldn't have had her gun in the jail cell, it would've been really bad, and then he just, like, held open his arms, and she just, like, ran into his arms, and then he just, like, sat down on a rocking chair and just held her. Yeah. Not strong enough for that. It was just, like, everything, like, after 30%, like, once that man wasn't in pain anymore, he was in pain of the heart. Like, once he wasn't in physical pain, he was just, like, suffering because he
Yeah,
could,
there
like,
was very little prevarication of, like, "Am I
yeah.
gonna marry her?" Like, I
No,
don't
he was like, "You're marrying me," and so that's why I was so happy when Foster had that whole wife situation. I was like, "God bless." It was amazing. I was like, "Thank you for getting yourself a wife." Mm. And the fact that, like, she wouldn't have sex with him. Oh, what a sorry sucker he is. Ooh, another note. Be Edward Cullen, because he sure was just sitting in her room watching her sleep.
Oh my god.
He
I
was just,
forgot
like,
about that.
sitting in the corner watching her just, like,
So alarming.
yeah. Um, I I just had to laugh at that one. Because then she was also, like, undressing, I think, at a moment, and he was also just in her room, like, at the bath. She was, like, getting in the bathtub. I mean, mm, God, I just, and he, like, dyed the fabric of his coach indigo. I mean, this guy just did everything he could to do the most.
It was actually, like, sickening
Yeah.
how down bad he was.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, like, if a really hot guy shows up and you have to nurse him back to health and you have a fiance, no, you don't have a fiance. I'm sorry, you don't
Actually,
have
no,
a
you don't.
fiance.
Not anymore.
Heart, no, you
Fiancé?
don't.
Never
Heart,
heard of
like, you
it.
don't. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, what are you to do in that situation? Not, like,
I'm
be single.
picturing her just, like, turning around, taking off an engagement ring, and, like, chucking it out
Yeah,
the window.
yeah, exactly.
Fiancé? What fiancé?
That I just, from the beginning, he was just so good, and I was like, "Girl, you're with this foster guy who is just a friend," and it's so that I just love when there are such simple solutions to problems like that. Like I said with the severed heads in that Cressy Cole book, where the head was severed in the previous book, so then it didn't matter that, like, they were all like, the brother was a point of contention because he was already dead. And this, Foster's already got a fiance. Therefore, she's free. Free to ugh, just
Free to try crazy things. Free from endless IOUs.
oh, that really sounded like a show tune.
It wasn't. It was Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper.
Oh, a boy.
It's the
I
opening song. That
don't know that
soundtrack,
movie.
no skips. It
Yeah,
I,
that's what one was
mm,
our Rapunzel, I think. I think I said one in one episode it was Swan Lake, but Rapunzel was the one that was always my favorite because there's a scene where the evil stepmother, like, walks up the steps and there's, like, a sound where her shoes
it
make
clicks, yes.
on the steps.
Yep.
Every day at school, just shift my shoes on the steps because it reminded me of the evil stepmother. It was, like, such a satisfying sound. I don't know. Imprinted on me.
I mean, that's valid, but there's no Barbie movie that holds a candle to The Princess and the Pauper.
Interesting.
We've had this
We have. Oh
discussion.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh
We're
yeah.
back on the Barbie discourse. Just
And
wait till the Barbie movie comes out.
I
Ugh.
am so excited for that. And I have like all the Barbie ornaments. Like since honestly, I think the Nutcracker. I have like all of the ones, and they're like my prized possessions. And so they've like escapade with their lives, with various tree fallings overs. Um, and like the Swan Lake one has the most delicate, like fragile wings, and I'm like, if that were to break, I would also break because it's so pretty. And like I have to like put the ornaments on the tree first because all the Barbies deserve their like perfect spots, and like Swan Lake is heavy, and so is Rapunzel. And I have a Princess and the Pauper, the Fairytopia. Yeah, it's
I
great.
had the actual Barbie dolls of the Princess and the Pauper ones, and
Mm-hmm.
they had buttons, so they both sang 2 songs. So they would sing,
Mm-hmm.
each of them had their own individual solos. But then if you press them, it's supposed to be if you press them at the same time, they would sing the duet. But I very clearly remember one of them had a slight delay, so I
Oh,
had it timed where I would hit like one and then wait exactly the right amount of time to hit the
yeah,
other one, so that they would perfectly line
that's
up and
funny.
sing their little duet.
That is
Mm.
amazing. Mm. Mm-mm-mm, indeed.
Anyway.
What else? Anything else?
I think that
Barbie
Hester would
man.
love Barbie Princess and the Pauper. I think she would love Erica.
Mm.
That's all.
I have no knowledge of this. I will agree.
As you should. Erica is the indentured servant.
Okay, she's the blue dress one.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
She's a cat who barks like a dog. She falls in. By the way, when I was a kid, I liked Annalise better because she's the
Mm.
princess who's in love with her tutor.
Mm-hmm.
And they get to like be together. He also so down bad for her. However, having rewatched as an adult, I was severely underrating King Dominic, who is he's
Dum
supposed to
dum
come
dum
marry.
dum dum.
You're so right. He was supposed to come marry Princess Annalise, who is actually Erica wearing a blonde wig,
I
and he
mean, what a
falls for
romance
her.
novel in a movie.
Yes,
It's
he falls for
crazy.
her when they like sing a duet together, and then he like
Yeah.
comes to talk to her, but she's in the bath, so he doesn't see her or anything. He's just standing on the other side of the door. And
They let
she,
that in the Barbie movie? Seems
yeah,
very
she's in the
sensual.
bath for a minute, and then she like is dancing around in like a fluffy
Oh.
robe.
Okay, that feels more Barbie.
It's not whatever. She's
Okay.
like blowing
Yeah.
bubbles, and her cat is
Gotcha.
trying to meow instead of bark, and she sings a very lovely song about how she loves him just the way he is.
Aww.
And King Dominic is on the other side of the door, and he hears her singing this song, and you can hear it in the silence. You can see it in his eyes. Instantly. And then let's discuss the feminism of all of this. So they're in love. It's revealed who they actually are, and he like breaks her out of prison knowing that she was lying to him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he does all of
Okay,
this,
Evie Dunmore bringing down the
saves the
Duke.
day, saves the day, and then at the end of the movie, she has always dreamed of like being a singer and going and touring around the
Mm-hmm.
world. And so
Mm-hmm.
he, I think, gives her an engagement ring and is like, go live your dream. I'll be here waiting when you get back. And she goes off and sings
That's
all around the
healthy.
world, and then she comes back and they get married.
Wow.
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 The romance of it all.
The romance of it
The
all.
the Barbie feminism of it all.
Mm.
That's all. I just really love King Dominic. It's fine.
Mm. I love that for you.
Thank you. It wasn't relevant to this except that I think that Hester would appreciate that.
Cool.
That's
I
it.
don't know another word besides
That's
cool.
all I've got. That's my
Yeah.
final thought.
I don't have a lot left either in me. Just I just like when you said when you were like yeah, like everyone who reads it, it's like 5 stars. And I was like, "What?" Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's very correct.
Like, I actually don't trust you if you rate it.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 stars, I
I think,
guess.
like, any, like, 4 or 5 just because it's like, it just meshes so well because I love a good, no third act breakup, very smooth, lazy river romance that's just, like, cute things being cute. Um, but, like, it did that, but it also had the drama and the angst and the kidnapping, and, and it just kept it so well, like, the 2 just, like, storylines. Oh god. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
original cover is so beautiful.
This is true.
And he's a guy who
I
could rock a mustache.
need it. Yeah. Unfortunately,
I
I'm not a
need it.
mustache
I
fan.
need it.
However,
I need it. Yeah. I watched that episode too many times as a kid. I'm Sandy. I'm Pinhead Larry.
you gotta stop. How many SpongeBob references have we
Too
made
many.
by
Too
now?
many. I've watched I've watched a lot of SpongeBob in my day. Back in the day. Um, what were you saying? Mustache.
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 Mustache man.
Mustache man.
He has one.
Yeah. Cause he like got a mustache like halfway through the book. And I was like, ooh, that's a move. She liked it, so go her. That's good for her. I, like you, am not a fan of just a soul mustache. But he had some other
Beverly
scruff too.
Jenkins is, though. He is
Mm-hmm.
not her only mustachioed hero.
No. And I also respect that.
Yep. I do like the commitment.
I just like just the piece of reading a Beverly Jenkins book, knowing that the villains are just gonna get everything coming to them is just so singular and like so specific to reading Beverly Jenkins. Cause like it all is so perfect at the end. Like I love her respect to dealing with like the side villains too. It's just so good. Well, we did it.
I don't know what else to say. 5
No.
stars, all the stars, no notes.
No. Well, I mean, I took a lot of notes, but like
Well, no
no critical
notes.
notes,
Yeah,
just incoherent. Ah,
true and
notes for me.
relatable. If you
Yeah.
for some reason listen to this episode without having read Indigo, which power to you if you don't care about
Mm-hmm.
spoilers, you should go read Indigo.
There's a lot that we didn't talk about.
That's
I
so
feel
true.
like
I
we
don't know how to
spoiled
cover.
we spoiled a good amount, but there's a lot that we didn't talk about.
Well,
So
because there's all the little like external plot
yeah,
things that I don't even remember. It was
exactly. Like
just
it's just so
like one
fascinating
thing
how it all
after
works
another.
out and how it all fits together.
Yeah.
And again, you're at 30%, like, wow, this book could be over, and then it isn't, and it's perfect.
But then it
Well,
isn't.
what would you say the lesson from Indigo would be? There were several that I
If a man wants to buy you a bunch of stuff,
let him.
maybe you don't have a fiance after all.
The best gift of all is a vigilante who's gifted sexually.
There we go.
Yeah, I would have to agree. If a really hot guy shows up and gives you gifts and you have a fiance, no, you don't have a fiance. And I support that. Yeah. Perfect. Marvelous. Now for the outro portion of this podcast. I don't know what our episode's going to be next week. It's TBD.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We sure have not decided.
No.
Whoops.
No. Our next episode is it Flowers in the Storm or Flowers from the Storm? From the Storm, by Laura Kinsale.
With a
We have a
special
guest. Look at us. I'm very excited for that. We're gonna read that this week. So yeah, stay tuned on what next next week's episode on Friday is.
Maybe we'll do
If
like a
you
fun little roundup. We haven't done one of those in a very
we
long time.
haven't. I agree. That would be fun.
And there is one roundup that we wanted to do in season 1 that we were planning on, and then the strike hit, and so we nixed it because
Yeah.
we didn't want to do it without including Avon books.
My life may have flashed before my eyes just because there are so many good ones. And I'm like, how am I going to corral
Yeah,
all of them?
we're gonna have to narrow down and make some cuts.
Yeah.
Hee
Cool.
hee.
Well, we're being vague and mysterious,
Mm.
but it'll have a purpose.
She's so quirky and mysterious.
Yeah.
Who
I am
are
the least
they?
mysterious purpose. Oh my god.
The least mysterious purpose.
I don't even know why I said what
We're
I
not
don't
mysterious.
know. My brain. What I was gonna say is that if you notice there wasn't a TBR Tuesday this week, and you haven't seen on socials or our newsletter, just Mother's Day happened, Caroline's dad's birthday happened. We just didn't have time to record, and then next week would be an off week, so we're gonna come back on the 30th, I think, with that one. And by that time, we'll have read books to talk about. We'd both not read like a ton for an episode. Again, you can find out the information first if you are subscribed to our newsletter.
And we've included, we sent one this week, and there'll be another one next week of just like a few little
more
book
recs.
recommendations.
Yep.
So,
oh yeah, I meant to mention this in the last old school we did. I want to know if anyone recognized the bell that I did at the beginning. So like there's the bell at the beginning of the episode, and then there's like a little like chime bell before like whatever it is. And that was an ode to Greece, if anyone caught that.
well, I didn't.
Yeah, so I had to say it because I assumed as much.
Oh, now that you say it, I'm like, oh, duh.
Yeah, so wanted to put that out there.
Also, wait, before we wrap up the outro, I remember a thing I also meant to say, which is that Caitlin, who's a friend / listener, called me out. Because apparently I was watching the Kentucky Derby just like on TV. I didn't have subtitles or anything. Apparently it is Mattress Mac, the guy who places all the bets, not Mattress Mac.
What a tangled web you wove.
She was like, as a native Houstonian, like it hurt me a little every time you said that wrong. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I truly didn't know. So my apologies to Mattress Mac and his various fans. For getting his name wrong. I have since been corrected.
Wow. Okay. Well, I was in the grape. Oh my god. I was in the great slump. 2023. Caroline's currently in her scandal era. The great
cancel Caroline 2023.
The great scandal of 2023.
I'm gonna disappear. I'm gonna be in my reputation era if anyone needs me.
There'll be no explanation. Just reputation.
No. Nobody's heard from me for months. Doing better.
You're doing better than you
was.
ever. The way I was saying it would not have been grammatically correct, so that would have been sad.
Than you ever was?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Literally nothing else is coming to my brain. So
no. It was just
we're gonna end this before it's any more of this.
UPS is here.
I have a really hot UPS driver. Just putting that out there.
Old. Well, this guy is. Sometimes, okay, so my dog barks at everybody because he's scared of people except for us, and he just like woof woof woof, and he chases the trucks away as if he was the one who is responsible for making sure they don't stop here. I don't know. He has a lot of opinions, but UPS most of the time they will give him a treat at the gate. And so he will still bark at them. That never stops him. But then he'll go up to the gate and wait for them to give him his treat. And then sometimes he then barks as they drive away. However, sometimes, and I always watch because it makes me laugh, but it also makes me sad. Sometimes they won't give him a treat, like if it's a different driver, but he's standing there waiting for his treat. And almost every single time I've seen this happen, he'll be standing there waiting and they like don't give him a treat. They just turn around and go back to the truck and he'll go, whoa, 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 and like bark at them as they go back. Like he's so offended.
That's so sad.
I know it is a little it's fine. He gets treats literally every night, so it's really not a big deal. But it does make me laugh every time he's like, "Wah, wah, wah, wah," like
Aw.
you tell him, Scoob.
What's the name?
It's Scooby.
I heard Scoop.
Oh, well, I said Scoob.
Scoob. That makes sense. I was like, why did you call your dog Scoop?
What a name.
I was like, okay. Ah, Scooby. Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Yeah, the one and only. You can see him featured on my Instagram
You
somewhere,
can see him in the
maybe.
silence.
Yes, you can definitely see him on Forever's Instagram. He's definitely been on there.
Yeah, I should have known it was Scooby. It's all coming back to me now. How many times can we reference those specific songs? I don't know.
We just say those phrases a lot. We gotta stop.
I mean, what great marketing to just write a song that can be a phrase. Like, so
To write a
smart.
song that can be a phrase, yes.
Look at
Oh,
me.
okay. We gotta wrap this up.
Yeah. School's over.
Stan Beverly Jenkins.
Stan Beverly Jenkins.
Stream
She's
Indigo out now.
school's over. Don't miss the bus.
You're so right.
Hope-
Don't
hope
forget your
you're-
lunchbox.
Don't forget your lunchbox. I hope your after school snack is great. And enjoy any extracurricular activities that you have. Mine involves sitting on my bed and reading books.
Yeah, so
and
does
staring at the
mine.
ceiling, listening to audiobooks. Yeah. Okay, bye-bye.